Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Voxaversity. First of all, I'd like to thank those of you who have supported Voxaversity. The launch has been massively successful. Given the, I think it's double what our goals for the first day were. I think there's 158 backers already, and that's really a fantastic start for something that thus far all we've shown is a 30-second trailer. But I can guarantee you, wow, thanks, I really appreciate that. I can guarantee you that we are going to make videos that are worth it. We're looking at the kind of stuff that Jordan Peterson's doing. We're looking at the kind of stuff that Stefan Molyneux is doing, and they're doing great stuff. They're doing great stuff. But we think that we can do the type of videos that people can not only perhaps benefit from themselves, but can also pass on and recommend to others to help convince them and help teach them and inform them. And so, most of them are going to focus on dialectic, but we're also going to be doing some stuff that is more rhetorically focused. These should be pretty obvious from the titles. One of the series that we're going to be doing, an ongoing series, is going to be called Shut Up, Name. And it's just basically it's going to be a series where each video is focused specifically on a single individual and basically just methodically destroying their various arguments, opinions, etc. That's the rhetoric. Obviously, most of the focus is going to be on dialectic, is going to be on information, but we're going to be using the video element, the visual element, in order to make it more emotionally persuasive, more rhetorical. It really depends. For example, we'll probably, because of my background, we will probably focus on the likes of Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, maybe Noam Chomsky. That would actually be kind of interesting because my father debated him many, many years ago, before I was even born, I think, at MIT. So, talk about going full circle. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll get Shapiro. No, we will definitely not be doing a Shut Up Steve Keen. Among other things, I don't attack Castalia House authors, and Steve Keen is now a Castalia House author. So, I might debate him at some point in time, although I don't know what, because frankly, you couldn't pay me to try to take him on in one of his areas of expertise. As arrogant as I am, as egocentric as people say that I am, I know my limits. And so, I don't agree with Shut Up Past Voxday. That's a good one, actually. We should totally do one that's just focused on some of the past, my past, positions that I no longer agree with. Anyhow, so, but again, I want to thank you guys who have supported it. If you haven't supported it, I would encourage you, support it for at the $5 a month level. We're going to do really good stuff. We're already working on it. We've already ordered the equipment, and actually, it should even improve these periscopes because we are getting that sort of lavalier mic, which I can use for these periscopes as well. So the ebooks for supporting, I'll get them out this weekend. You know, I kind of want to do it in, I want to do it in chunks rather than, you know, every single person at a time. Yeah, maybe you'll be able to hear that. Where can you do it? Go to voxaversity.com or just go to freestarter.com. Freestarter is spelled without the final E, and you'll see the Voxaversity, or just go to the link that's right there on the screen that Botany Bay helpfully posted. How do I talk and read at the same time? It's pretty easy because these are short little comments and I read extremely quickly. So reading, you know, reading and talking at the same time is not that difficult for me, which is kind of strange because obviously just talking is something that I'm not necessarily great at. Usually because I'm trying to decide which of the various possibilities I should run with. You know, I often envy Milo. I think that Milo thinks at the same rate that he talks, both of which are pretty quick. And so, you know, it just comes out in this really eloquent, well-articulated manner. You know, and meanwhile, I can't even seem to get things out in a B, C order. So that's why I stayed away from doing video for so long. You know, this is not my strength. But you know, with practice, good special effects, and a decent set of notes, I think that I can manage a reasonable quality for 20 minutes. So, anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about what I was going to say, what would have been or were supposed to be the two lawsuits. But as it happens, there's only the one, which is the one that we filed against Gab. A lot of people know about it now. And, you know, just so you understand, we're not looking to get any damages or anything like that. The only thing that we are doing is what Gab told us to do, what Gab told everyone to do, which is if you want to have any, if you want to have a post removed, then you have to get a court order. So we've done that. So, you know, it's a process. It'll probably be mid-October before anything at all happens. So there's really nothing much to talk about. What's much more interesting, I think, is on the Google side. You know, Gab has been lobbying hard to try to get on the App Store and get on the Play Store. Obviously, they were completely unsuccessful in those efforts. Trying to shame them was unsuccessful. Complaining about it was unsuccessful. And so they've resorted to the only thing they have left to do, which is to file a lawsuit. Now, they were going to, but I'm told that, in fact, they were going to today. But apparently, I'm told that they've decided to talk about it instead for now. So we'll see. And, you know, we'll just see what Google decides. We'll see what happens. Why be so respectful to them? You know, I was a young entrepreneur once too. And I made mistakes too. And, you know, what they're trying to do is not that easy. It's not the most difficult thing in the world, but, you know, it's a difficult, all-consuming sort of activity. And so, you know, you have to cut them some slack because they're under stress. They're not getting much sleep. They're facing situation after situation that they've never faced before, and they're not necessarily getting good advice. And so, I think that, I think that it's not a good idea to be too harsh on people who are learning as they go. And so, now that doesn't mean that you're going to let everything go uncommented. That doesn't mean that you're going to let people challenge you if they openly challenge you. A number of people, maybe even some of you, criticize me for publishing the call logs and the email summaries. But Utsav had put forth a false narrative that was intended to mischaracterize me. Sure, I could have ignored it, but that's not my style. For those of you who want to talk about PR and brand, that's not my brand. When people call me, one of the things that I am known for is that I don't run from anybody. Everybody runs from me. And so, I didn't get nasty. I didn't do anything other than the bare minimum to make it clear that Utsav was being untruthful. When Torba jumped in and said he was going to publish all the emails and phone conversations between us, I didn't go and point out the fact that if he had done so, if he was telling the truth, then he committed a misdemeanor in California. That's a fact. I don't need to push it. If what he was saying was true, he committed a misdemeanor. I hope you understand that. I'm not making this up. He was in California when we were first talking. California is a two-party state. If he recorded those calls and he did not have my consent to do so, he violated California law. It's that simple. I could have pointed that out, made a big deal. I didn't, because it doesn't matter. I don't believe for a second that any of those calls were recorded. That's why I'm willing to mention it now, because I don't think... Texas is one party. But people tend to forget little things like that when they're emotional, when they're all fired up, and all that sort of thing. Right? I don't forget those things. I don't do something like say, I will publish all the emails, unless I've gone through every single email and I know exactly what's in all of them. I went through all of our emails. There's nothing there. There's literally nothing embarrassing to either party there. Publish them. That's what I said. Go ahead and publish them. And here's the thing that you need to understand is that, I don't do, just so we're clear on this, I don't do these things because I am out to get anybody. I don't do these things because I'm angry or I'm upset or that sort of thing. I'm a war gamer. And I'm a game designer. And so operating at that level of detail and thinking in terms of the multiple possibilities and the probable and improbable consequences of various paths and outcomes is something that I have to do. That's something that I do for a living. That's what I do. And so, it shouldn't surprise you when in my day-to-day relations, I do the same thing. And so, that's why none of this stuff surprises me. Now, well, exactly. The funny thing is that all of my longtime readers, I got several emails, right after that stuff happened, and they knew, absolutely knew, that the moment that my family was brought into it, even implicitly, I was going to be going after everybody involved. Because that is what I have done every single time before. You know, you can ask P.Z. Myers. You can ask John Scalzi. They learned to back off very, very fast when they wanted to start messing with, you know, various family members and stuff. Well, you know, they messed with my wife. They implicitly messed with my relationship with my children. You know, I'm not going to stop. You know, I'm not crying. I'm not complaining. But you know, we've already built the one case in Texas. Now we're going to the next step, and we're dealing with the registrar, because all the other folks don't have the same resources that I do, and so they don't have the ability to go and hire a lawyer and spend the money and do all that sort of thing. So, you know, I already have a meeting set up with the folks in Melbourne. And so, you know, I don't know what they'll do, but that's the correct way to handle these things. You know, now the mistake that I made is maybe I should, you know, I like to give people a fair warning. I like to give people an opportunity to make things right before you bring in third parties. You know, if nothing else, that's the way the Bible recommends you handle things. Talk directly to the person responsible. But the problem is among people of a who tend to be conflict avoidant, you know, they tend to see that behavior as very threatening, and they react very poorly to it. I mean, I personally like the idea of being warned. You know, if someone tells me, you know, look, you've done this, and I'm going to punch your face in, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to retract the wrong you have done me. Yeah, I appreciate that. I like being given the option of avoiding, you know, getting punched in the face without warning. You know, we could have done the whole thing without warning. You know, we could have done exactly what we've done, and so forth. I would certainly accept an apology as long as they removed all the relevant posts. That's all we're looking for. You know, we're not looking for money. You know, I'm not trying to establish my alpha credentials. I mean, if you read Alpha Game, you know that I don't even consider myself an alpha. You know, and so no, I'm quite aware that that's not likely to happen, and that's okay. You know, you do what you need to do. You know, we're mostly dealing with young guys who think they're anonymous and think they can say whatever they want. You know, these guys don't know the difference between extortion and defamation and venereal disease. I mean, they have no conception of what the real world is. And I understand that. You know, and part of the responsibility of the older generation is to civilize the younger generation. You do not civilize them by simply letting them behave like barbarians and do whatever they like. You know, so what you do is you discipline them. When they get out of hand, you break them. And that's all we're doing. That is the extent of my intention. You know, we are going to break the wild horses, and their associates will learn from the experience. Now, Gab could take care of this stuff. They have the ability to take care of this stuff. You know, I mean, but we're handling that, you know, with kid gloves too. You know, I have the 535 Vile Faceless minions. They would, at the drop of a hat, pollute Gab with all kinds of images of, you know, Torba's fiance and Utsav's girlfriend or whatever. They could do that very easily. Hell, I could do that. I know how to make memes. They may not be particularly great, but, you know, that's fine. But we're not going to do that. We don't need to do that. We don't need to descend to that level in order to explain that what's happening is not right. You know, so we're just going to proceed the way that Gab has specifically told us is the correct way to proceed. You know, I don't know whether Gab is going to do what Andrew Torba said they would. I don't know if they are going to accept the court order and identify the specified individuals and remove the posts and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea. It's up to them. But we know what they've said. And so, you know, and I don't know. Also, here's the other thing, and let's get back to Google. Could individuals make amends? Of course. You know, if any of those individuals come forward, send me an email and say, hey, look, here's the post I put up. I've deleted it. I'm sorry. We will drop them immediately from the list. It's not an issue. It's not personal. Yeah, I mean, they may not understand that because their whole narrative is that, you know, I'm upset and crying. You know, let me put it this way. It's vastly preferable to deal with this kind of attack than getting, you know, 113 or 114, whatever it was, death threats from the Council of members of the Council of American Islamic Relations. And so, oh, don't worry, we have them all. What do you think that the paralegals for the Legal Legion of Evil have been doing the last few days? I mean, you know, the 14 individuals on the petition are not the only people that are going to be part of the petition. You know, we can add as many people as we want onto it until about a few weeks before the hearing. And I believe the hearing was just getting scheduled either today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, because I haven't heard about it, the schedule having been made yet. But you know, the interesting thing here is I don't know. Yes, the same care. I don't know what connection there is between Gab's recalcitrance and determination to protect people who are engaged in defamation and other forms of illegal speech, and what's going on with Google. Yes, Twitter has been subpoenaed for similar reasons, and they did give up the identities. So, you know, and you know, even if they don't know the exact identities, they still are responsible for providing all the information that they have. So that's why we've also petitioned the court to depose a representative of Gab in order to find out exactly what their official policies and methods are. You don't understand why this got out of hand. I'm not sure why either. My personal belief is that there is something about Gab's strategy against Google that precludes them from deleting any posts. And so, you know, I think that this is not really ultimately about me or about any of the other people. I don't even think that it's necessarily about Gab's idealism, although I do believe that they are genuine idealists. I do believe that they are genuinely serious about protecting what they see as free speech. I simply don't believe that they have a very sophisticated understanding of what free speech is. I don't think that they have a very sophisticated understanding of the history of the freedom of thought. I would recommend anyone read J.B. Bury's book on that if you're interested. It's actually a little disappointing for me. If you see all those green books right there, and they were all edited, and also the red books, they were edited by J.B. Bury, who was at the University of Cambridge, and he's always been kind of one of my intellectual heroes because he edited those, wonderful historical collections. And then I read his book, The History of the Freedom of Thought, and I realized that he was basically a free thinker and a precursor to the Richard Dawkins of the world. So that was a bit of a letdown, I have to admit. So, I don't know. Let's talk a little bit. This is enough about that. I mean, frankly, I'm bored of it already. Let's talk a little bit about DACA. I think it is too soon to. I think it is simply too soon to reach any conclusions. I've been telling you guys this for months, dating back to the early campaign. You cannot judge Trump's actions by Trump's words. Now, if it's true and he is a prisoner in his own office and he's being drugged by his daughter and all that sort of thing, all bets are off. We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. We have no idea. But the point is that Trump habitually does three things that confuse everybody. Number one, he likes to A/B test things. He likes to test this approach and test that approach and go with the one that works better. So you can't get too excited whenever he is throwing an idea out there because he might just be testing it. Or he might be baiting the other side. Number two, Trump always pushes very hard for a period of time and then he coasts. So he pushes and then he coasts. He is a burst worker. I understand this very well because I am the same way. I get nothing done for much longer than I would like to admit, and then I get far more done in a short period of time than anybody believes. It's slightly embarrassing how few weeks I spent working on some books that are much larger than you would think, because it irritates me that I didn't use the time better when I was basically sitting around getting nothing done for 5 months or 6 months. It's very irritating. But that's the way it is. Trump is clearly the same way. Everybody was panicking at one point around the time of Indiana. And I told everyone, he's just coasting. Well, why isn't he out campaigning? Why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that? I just said, you know what? He's just pushed, he's won, and now he's recharging. He needs to recharge his batteries. Let him go. And sure enough, he came back strong. So, and then the third thing is that he is definitely a one step back, 2 steps forward individual. He makes mistakes that are sometimes almost inexplicable. It's really remarkable how often he goes and does something. You're just thinking, okay, that's it. He's lost it. We should panic, and so forth. and then suddenly see him like moving forward aggressively and really making a lot of progress. So keep those things in mind. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't be reacting? Does that mean that you shouldn't be out there pushing these things? No, you should. If you're opposed to DACA, let your voice be heard. I have. You should too. I tweeted him directly on one of his posts. But you need to be calm about it. Push back hard, but be calm. That's right. Don't panic. Work. Do something. Let your voice be heard. Support Voxday. That's not going to do anything for DACA, but I'm just giving you examples of stuff that you can do. I do these periscopes in part because it's a way that I can present you with ideas. Molyneux has been going hard. I've been retweeting Molyneux, I think I must have retweeted him 5-6 times today. If you haven't signed up for the Daily Meme Wars, sign up for the Daily Meme Wars. We're going to hit DACA tomorrow. So, I think I did a week straight on CNN when we first launched Daily Meme Wars. So, anyhow, the point is, don't forget, we cannot understand exactly what he's going through. We can't understand exactly what's going on at any one time. To support Voxday, there's monthly subscriptions that range from $5 a month to $500 a month. So, as you see fit, it's all appreciated. We are going to do our best to become the best producer of these type of videos out there. And yes, and you can do it one time if you wish as well. So, but our goal is we want people to buy in to the concept. We want people to become part of the Voxday system. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. If you were on my blog when we did the old Voxday, you'll remember we had the tests and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do that kind of stuff as well. So, if you've been on my blog, or even here with these periscopes, you know that there's a pretty high level of engagement. It's not going to be any different there. I started to need glasses when I was, I think, 7 years old. It was personally traumatic. So, everything will be open. Everything will be open. The whole idea, this is something that I talked about with the people who were interested in supporting Voxday. I brought it up at Brainstorm. We talked about it. I said, look, do you guys want us to make special videos that are only for the members, the backers, or do you want us to do stuff that you guys can take to your friends and family and acquaintances and all that sort of thing? And the response was absolutely unanimous. We want stuff that we can put out there on YouTube. We want stuff that we can put all over the place. So we said, okay, great. So that's what we're doing. Anyhow, I appreciate that. That Warhammer Heretic thing is one of my favorite memes ever. I think I went through a phase on Twitter where I must have said that, it says right here you're a heretic, and posted that meme 5 times a day. So anyhow, I do appreciate your support. I appreciate your interest. Even if you can't afford to support it directly, I hope you'll support it just by passing the stuff around, letting your friends know about it. You're retweeting the video links when they come out. All that stuff matters. all that stuff matters. And so, and as you know, it's going to be a high engagement, high energy thing, and we're going to. I'm getting a new mic. That's what you missed. You must have missed the beginning. I'm getting a mic, and supposedly it's going to also be useful for these periscopes. So everybody wins. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Stay strong on DACA, and just let the God Emperor know where you stand. He does tend to listen. Have a good evening.